Hey everybody, it's Truth Dog, or as they say in France, Le Truth Dog. Today I have 3 examples of exposure causing reptilians to shapeshift. Now, before I begin, this video kind of ties in with another video that I made a while back, which was about exposure being the #1 thing that psychopaths fear the most. In case you didn't know, psychopaths, primary psychopaths are reptilians. And in that video, I was speaking of my experiences with primary psychopaths and situations in which I was able to antagonize, expose, or cause fear towards these kind of people. And what I experienced was quite strange. All of them fled. They actually, in one case, the person just made up an excuse and had to leave my house. In another one, a job agent I had literally quit his job. There have been many other examples, say at restaurants when I dressed someone down for doing something that was completely psychopathic and energy vampiring. I never see them working there again. And, the list goes on. So this is something which I always recommend to people. If you do have the ability or awareness levels to actually identify these kind of reptilian shape-shifting bastards in society, because they are everywhere in society. The idea that they're only 1%, the Illuminati, the Royals, Bilderbergs, Rothschilds, whatever. They're just the ones ruling over us. So they're just the ones on TV that you're never going to meet a psychopath or reptilian shapeshifter because they're allegedly only 1%. That's a big lie. There's far, far more of them. They work everywhere. They're running the Freemasonic temples. They're running the Eastern Star. They're running all the churches. You know what I mean? They're running all the hospitals, all the police departments. A lot of them are doctors. Any kind of job or position of power in society is mostly likely held by a reptilian, because reptilians crave power and control. It makes them feel high because they can do the worst things to people and get away with it, all under the guise of leadership. But they don't lead by example. They lead through fear and the motto of do as I say, not as I do. So that's a little bit of background info. I'm going to play this video for you, and like I said, there will be 3. This is by a user called Chief2, which I believe is one of Chris Archer's 7,000 accounts. My opinion of Chris Archer is that he's most likely a Freemason, and from the sounds of his voice, he doesn't sound too human either. But there's the Freemasons, from what I can tell, have these psy-ops. For a while, a good example of Freemasonic psy-op would be the transgender agenda. All the people that upload those videos and just say that every celebrity is a tranny, all those, they're just fucking Freemasons. And for a long time, all these channels, they would only talk, flat earth, that's another Freemasonic psy-op. I mean, obviously the world isn't round, but I'm not too sure if it's flat either. That's a big Freemasonic psy-op. And reptilians, for a while, they use this. See, the psy-op with reptilian channels is that they don't talk about organic portals. And these days you've got Freemasonic psy-op channels that only talk about organic portals. So you can see the divide there. That's why in my channel I try to talk about both, especially focusing on reptilians in terms of advice, because organic portals aren't the ones that are going to harm you more often than not. It's the reptilians who, I would say, at least 20% of the population. So if you know 10 people, there's a good chance at least 1 or 2 of them is a reptilian psychopath. They're the bullies. They're the antagonists in your life. They're the villains. If you can spot a jerk, if you can spot a douchebag or a creep or whatever, you can spot a psychopath. And if you've done that, you've most likely spotted a reptilian using liquid crystal hologram to appear human, which they are provided in the hospitals at birth. They come out like lizard people, but shortly after they're given a hologram suit, amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat or whatever it is, and they can appear human for the rest of their lives and wreak havoc. But anyway, that's enough backstory. That's, holy crap, 4.5 minutes. All right, so I'm going to let old Chris Archer, the not a Freemason, take over and explain what's going on here. Actually, maybe I should explain what's going on here. I guess he will. All right, let's check it out.
Alright guys, take a look at this reptoid in a thong, dude. He gets embarrassed when his frequency changes. Watch. He's got a thong on. At work, they're messing with him. Watch his face break down. It's called liquid crystal polarization. I've talked about this back.
So like what I was saying, exposure causes them to shapeshift. And this isn't something that we see with the naked eye, but this is something that cameras are able to pick up because, in case you didn't know, cameras pick up more frames per second than the human eye. So a camera technically sees more than what we can see. This is why it picks up things from the fourth dimension, which is right outside of our realm of perception. This is where the actual reptilian resides inside the suit. The suit is a 3D diving suit, technically, and the reptilian is hidden in the fourth dimension. And what you can see here is the zebra pattern forming. And of course, it's not actually completely over the man that we're meant to believe is there. But that's because what I believe, the zebra pattern indicates where the actual reptilian resides, and the human is just the holographic shell that we're all meant to see. Now, back to what I said in my video, you can actually, like, I didn't realize that these times when I was exposing these psychopaths in my life and they had to flee, leave their jobs, you know, I never see them again, those kind of situations, I didn't realize the reason was that I was actually messing with their hologram technology, which, I mean, I suppose if it suffers enough malfunctions, if they are exposed enough, I imagine it might break because, like I said, they really, really, really do not want to be around people who can see through them, so to speak. So I think that it's important that we educate people on reptilians and what makes them actually uncomfortable and what exposes them, because if everyone were to know about them, I think that they'd have a much harder time blending in and ruining all of our lives 24/7. So I guess...
Yeah, I guess 1 to 12. See the white zebra pattern that just formed around his body? It doesn't have to be on the body. It could be in the background or the foreground. What happened is you just saw.
See that flashing lights and all that stuff? That's something that, you know, shield channels will do. It's a form of hypnotism, flashing lights.
Let me just let it play.
So what happens here is his co-workers are obviously pulling a prank on him, like old Chris said. But the embarrassment, the shame, you know, the exposure, literal physical exposure, has caused his frequency to change. You know, like the way that we experience anxiety. It's similar for them. Reptilians don't experience anxiety, but they do experience fear. And this guy is afraid of what his co-workers think. So, and that's something that the reptilians I know, they are very fear-based. They are actually scared. It's quite funny. They're actually scaredy cats in a way. They're very, very fearful kind of people, reptilians. Which I guess is why they're programmed to make us afraid, because if we're more afraid than they are, they feel like they're in control. Something like that. Anyway, I'll get on to the second example of exposure causing reptilians to shapeshift. Here we go. We got this cartoon woman newsreader.
Record this from my camera.
Hey, same. This is Smuckwap. Household name. I thought I should credit it.
This is a clip from a bloopers video that's on YouTube that happened to catch an interesting shapeshift and possibly the mechanism used to accomplish the cloaking.
I just want to say one thing about this woman. This is a good example of a psychopath, obviously reptilian shapeshifter, that when you look at them and they're not moving, you know, they're not emoting, so to speak, they tend to look like dead bodies. Their eyes are very still and dead looking. It's actually strange because that's one of the key differences between reptilian shapeshifters, psychopaths, narcissists, what have you, and organic portals. Organic portals don't look dead. Organic portals look human. I don't think that organic portals have souls, but they're not empty. They're not faking their personalities. Their personalities, organic portals, are programmed by the media, the television programming, all of that sort of stuff that the reptilian psychopaths provide them. So, for all intents and purposes, an organic portal, even though it's just copying what it's seen, it is not actually being insincere. It believes that that's what it is. Whereas with a psychopath, they are faking. They're always faking their personas. They usually have, you know, a lot of different masks, that whole narcissistic mask thing that people talk about. That's an analogy for the reptilian. They're like con artists. They fake different personalities. They're like chameleons, you know. They'll be whoever they need to be to weasel into your life and then ruin it from the inside out. So anyway,
So I'm going to hold the camera as still as I can.
As will I.
As soon as I hit my start button and record what's coming up. Now, this gal is not the one that shifted. Although it looks like she's kind of weird too, just looking at her.
There you go.
You'll see what I'm talking about.
My arm is starting to hurt. Ow.
Here we go.
Yeah. See, as soon as she's in motion, it kind of looks like a cartoon character. Like, that's very subtle, and, you know, people go, that's just lens flare or something, but I can see that there's, like, sharp points already there. And look at the eyes. It's like they're fully slit, fully black all the way down, and it just kind of looks like a cartoon character, you know, like a CGI, because that's technically what a reptilian is. And like like I said, the camera will pick up and demonstrate this far clearer than the human eye. You can see a reptilian shapeshift if you cause them exposure. I have. I had to be very close up. I saw slit eyes forming, and I saw scales when one got very, very angry and beat me up one time. But yeah, the camera picks this up far more easily. And I think that the reptilians are aware that they're shapeshifting. I think they can feel it the same way that we feel anxiety when we start to sweat. And that's why they need to get away from you when you expose them. Oh, there you go.
Okay, there she is.
I find it interesting too. I don't know if that was intended or not, but like right after something very, very weird happens, like you know she's exposed for having a reptilian dildo hologram device live on air and also shapeshifting. They cut to a busty woman so that the majority of the audience, especially male audience, will be like, you know, they don't even remember the weird thing they just saw. They're like, oh man, did you see that chick's boobs? I don't know if that's intentional, but it seems like one of those sleight of hand kind of diversion tactics. Anyway, we'll let old Smuckwop take it again.
Device, whatever the heck that thing is. In the next image, I bring it in a little bit closer. Right after she pulls her dress down over the device, she shape-shifts for about 1 second. I got 2 different shots of that.
So what happened here is she experienced double exposure. She experienced the embarrassment, shame, and fear of having a hologram device exposed live on air, which I believe can get them fired. There was a newsreader recently, Australian one, probably a year or 2 ago, where she had like this weird pen live on air, and like she got fired for a gaffe, but I think it had something to do with the fact that she had a like device on air. So you know she suffered fear and exposure through having that exposed, and also physical exposure. Her legs, like with the previous example, she's embarrassed and ashamed that her body was shown. Because even though this isn't their real bodies, it's a suit that they wear, I would say 24/7. The idea of them changing into reptiles when we're not looking isn't really true. These hologram suits are basically like diving suits. And if you were at the bottom of the ocean and you needed to be walking around, you'd need a diving suit. You would never really take it off, right? So that's like, they start to, you know, they identify with these and they do feel shame and fear and all that about their own bodies, as we've seen with the first 2 examples. We'll move on to the final one. This is probably the most famous one, if you could call it that. The like-dislike ratio is looking like a Truth Dog video here. But anyway, we'll let it run. This is the one in question. I think, okay, so here's my take. These 2 are definitely reptilian psychopaths. This one, she's on the news, so she's probably a reptilian. She doesn't seem psychopathic. There are some good ones. That's just my opinion. It's maybe irrelevant, but I thought I'd say that before interrupting again.
Thursday, you know what that means?
Tomorrow's Friday.
Oh, thank God. Okay, a lot of
Oh
stories.
my God. You hear her voice. There's like, she has a lisp, which I think is like akin to hissing. Although people that talk with lisp, in my life, I've found them to be not so much on the level. So my theory is, and this is one of my looser theories, that people with lisp and all that are probably reptilians trying to suppress their long reptile tongue as they speak. That's just, I don't know, who knows. That may or may not be true. We'll have to investigate that one further. But anyway, let's look at this horrible person.
Questionable credibility from our good friend of the Tabloid. In the Inquirer, Brad moves out as his life with Angelina falls apart. According to them, the Tab says Brad has finally moved out and he's headed back home to the U.S. Angie told Brad that she wants
Shifting,
to
okay,
permanently move into
135.
a chateau in South
See all that flashing again? Hypnotism.
Brad, who grew up in Missouri, laughed at all the rumors because they're not rumors.
Oh, that's interesting. See here, you got the globe. That's more programming of the round Earth. Even though I don't believe the world is flat, you know, that's just part. This video clip's quite old. The video itself is from 2010. And then you got who will die first? Not even a question, right? It's literally it's a statement. So that's predictive programming. So it's saying that someone's going to die. I don't know what all the rest says, but you know, that's certainly predictive programming. Very evil.
This may be one of the tackiest covers yet for the globe.
No, it's not.
It's not?
Not with many others.
Okay, who will die first? Nice. They have photos, of course, of Brittany and Lindsay, but also Michael Jackson, President Bush, Angelina, and Oprah.
So if it's tacky, why are you reporting on it?
Because
Okay, so here's the crux of this clip. The male news reporter is giving this female tabloid, you know, trashy journalist a very hard time about the pointlessness and stupidity of her job, and this is causing her obviously to feel very embarrassed and exposed live on air, and that, as it usually does, makes her feel anxiety, which makes her shapeshift. So we'll see that.
that's what we do here.
Okay.
That's what we do. The Globe
I like that moral justification.
That's what we do. The Globe
See that? That's what we do. They're so passive aggressive. If you know people who are like very passive aggressive and try to control things by being fake nice and all that, that's a psychopath. They're very, very common.
Here to assess certain celebrities with factors to make her analysis.
But
For example, she said
the guy, you know, she's trying to keep it together, but you can see that she's having trouble. Her hair actually kind of looks green, and now she's losing control.
how much longer they'll live. I know, but I also know you want to hear what she has to say. The doctor.
See that? The head turn is very snake-like.
I haven't read any of this. Brittany won't make it to the age 30. Lindsay won't see 25.
666.
And Michael Jackson has no more than 5 years left.
That's interesting. At this point, Michael Jackson did end up dying a few years after this report. So, you know, like I said, predictive programming.
The other end, Angelina's going to have a long, healthy life, and so will George Bush and Nicole Richie.
Isn't that interesting? The people from the most wealthy Illuminati families are guaranteed to live a long, healthy life. I wonder why that is. Who knows? Anyway.
You're not already bipolar?
I hear yelling in the booth. Are they yelling at me for the way I read that?
They
Or
did great.
okay.
But if you're not...
Excuse me.
I could hear Lisa
See, this guy who's definitely a reptilian is trying to cover for her, even though, especially since he's the one who caused her to shapeshift.
yelling.
Give her a break. She didn't read it earlier. She doesn't know the story. It's okay. Just stop.
I like how in his excuse he throws her under the bus.
She's okay.
I could hear you.
I can hear you. So passive aggressive.
But if you weren't already crazy, wouldn't you be...
And see this one, she's with the critical thinking. Like if you weren't already crazy, wouldn't saying that you're bipolar make you more crazy? You know, they hate critical thinking. They hate, especially any critical thinking directed at them. Like it's just exposure in general. And any kind of exposure causes a reptilian psychopath to feel incredibly threatened and uncomfortable. And as we can see here in the fourth dimension, which the camera's picking up, it causes them to shapeshift, which in turn, in our reality, causes them to want to get away from us. All the more reason to expose them.
Easy by being called bipolar, and I think that would just feed on itself.
The whole thing.
I think that by themselves it's fine, but we just spent more time on some expert who doesn't know any of them making comments on how long they'll live than we did on Iraq today. Okay.
Yeah. We should not be spending time on this trashy gossip crap. We should be spending time making people afraid of the Iraq war. That's our main agenda. You know, this rep's got his priorities straight. Anyway, this video has gone on long enough. Hopefully those three examples clear up or have at least demonstrated something to you that will get you thinking about exposure causing reptilians to shapeshift. This has been Let Truth Dog, and I hope you have a great day. Woof woof!